Armada Book 5 Chapter 6, The Ninjas Part 2. After a week Mila and Ono went over to Dimension 1415644491 intending to talk to the Maqeebee Grand Council of that dimension. They found out from Ricky that the Grand Council Master was meeting with the Science and the Military Grand Council members. Good timing. At least we know these three are not spies. Mila said. Ono, Mila and Ricky beamed in front of the Grand Council Master. Greetings. We come in peace. I'm Mila, this is Akio and Ricky. I am Grand Council Master Horan. Why are you here? Horan said. So Ripan, that's your name, right? Mila asked. Ripan nodded. You must be Chilla. Mila said and Chilla nodded. Okay, we are from another dimension and we came to help. Actually, we also need your help. Mila started. You are the first interdimension contact we have. We have not actually used the dimension gateways and this is a surprise. Ripan said. One of your Grand Council members, maybe Dessen, provided the Emperor with several dimension gateways or DGs as we call them. You may not know it but they are operating the DGs out of planet Sarbon. Ricky said. That would be impossible. We secured our DGs. Nobody have access to them. Chilla said. Let me make the three of you invisible. We would like to show you. Mila said. The Crimson made the three invisible and Mila beamed them into the cave. Let's go inside their DG operations room. Mila said as she telepathically ordered the TP operators to beam them there. The group found themselves in the DG room and they could see the scientists, some of whom they know, at the consoles and one group preparing to go through. One scientist went through Ripan and Ripan was shocked. Don't worry Ripan, nobody can see us. As you can see they are very busy deploying people. Each group is given a list of 8 dimensions to go to. Look at the list here, the top and bottom is the same, which is this dimension. In between are 8 dimensions they should go to, one after the next and come back to this dimension. Their task is to make sure the Emperor in the other side wins or the Emperor's enemies lose. Their task is also to provide the plasma technology which we invented to the other dimensions in exchange for the mission to assassinate the Armada personalities. Ricky explained. Hey, there's Grand Council Master Dessen. See, he's their spy and your traitor. Ono exclaimed. We can show you more like the test planet Rinia where they are working on a plague and several slave processing planets. Planet Balon have mutated Maqeebees, Maqeebees and other aliens. Would you like to see these? Mila asked. I want to see Planet Balon. Ripan said. Mila looked at Horan for confirmation and Horan nodded. They were beamed deep inside the science facility of the planet. There they could see mutated Maqeebees, Maqeebees, Marantais and other alien life forms. This is sickening. Wait, I recognize that guy. I believe he is a council member in the first colony. Chilla said. The slave planets are at the border of the 4th colony and one is located at the end of the 3rd colony. We do not have a direct TP beam access to the planets. Ricky said. Let's go back to the council chambers. Horan said. Back at the Grand Council chambers. Where are Brawny and Hilm? Ricky asked. They were hunted and fled to a place we do not know more than 2 years ago. Chilla answered. They probably headed back to the old galaxies of the Intkees and Maqeebees. Mila said. So why are you here? Chilla asked as she looked at the three. First of all we came to make sure you return to power and that you take control of the 4th and the 1st colony. Then we will trace all those interdimension travels the Emperor's people undertook and stop them from fulfilling their mission. Then we will help you deal with the Marsons and Greenos who are being tapped in an alliance with the Emperor. Ricky said. You would have to deal with the Emperor and his forces. Chilla said. That's the easy part. The harder part is cleaning up your society of the evil they have created and the evil they have infested across numerous dimensions. Ricky explained. You said we can help you with something? Horan asked. Yes, one of their interdimension mission was into our dimension. We want to make sure there are no loose ends from this side as we look for them on our side and in the other dimensions they went into. Mila answered. My problem is that our shipbuilding capabilities have been greatly reduced. We are producing only 60 ships a month and our armada is down to 1,500 ships. The enemy has 20,000 ships. And lately they have this new weapon which is very strong and our ships have a hard time dealing with it. Chilla said. They have more than 30,000 actually and the Marsons will send 10,000 ships in and the Greenos will send about that much. And those weapons are called plasma cannons and they got it from our dimension. Mila said. How many ships do you have? Chilla asked. None. Ricky answered. So how will you end the war? Chilla exclaimed. As I said, that's the easy part. We can end the war in 2 days from the time we decide to end it. But the work to clean up, to deal with the refugees, to deal with the spies, to move the people out of the infested planets, to render justice to your people. These will take years and a lot of work. Along the way we need access to your government to root out the infiltrators to and from the various dimensions. Ricky said. Look, I think you do not know how this war is being fought. Horan said. We just want to get an assurance that you will give us this access and help us deal with the multidimension intrusions. Mila said. It is really very hard for us to understand how you will do this. But if you can do as you say, we will honor you as we would honor our ancestors, and we will be your ally for thousands of years. Yes, we will help you with your task. Horan said. I would like that you do not mention this to anybody. We still need about 5 days to prepare. But I would like you to prepare your civilians for refugee work. Prepare your transport ships and medical people for refugee work. Prepare the necessary equipment and provisions so your people can deliver the proper refugee work. This will not bring a lot of suspicion, and this is the most important thing you can do for us and your people. Mila said. We will return in 5 days. Tell your ships to avoid getting into a shooting war with your enemies to save your ships and men, but don't tell them why. Ricky added. Back at the cave, Rabina has completed setting up a ship data system with its own hologram at the 1st Colony Cave and 4th Colony Cave. We have set up operations in several caves within beaming range, so our range will cover a large part of the 1st and the whole of the 4th colony. We are setting up hundreds of targeted TPs in these caves, and these are controlled by the 2 AIs in the 2 main caves. Rabina told the group. When will we finish with the tagging? Mila asked. An AI hologram appeared. My name is Rambo and I am the AI in this cave. Tagging will be finished in 3 days. Setting up of the targeting TPs will take 5 days. Bombing will commence after tagging but detonated right after the virus is dehibernated. You should dress up and look like Rambo as well. Ricky said. The AI changed his figure to the Rambo character. That will work. Rabina smiled. There are a lot of people deployed. Are they getting any rest? Ono asked. We are beaming them into rest and beaming them out after they take a 10-hour rest. I have deployed more than 400,000 on a 10-hour tagging rotation basis. Rabina answered. Rambo, do we have all the bombs needed for the ships? Mila asked. Yes, they will be deployed within a day. Rambo said. We have located a holding planet with a lot of cave systems and we will beam the troops into these caves. Some will not fit in but will be beamed in isolated areas like islands and mountain tops. Rabina said. Do we send in exploding tags for the stragglers, Ricky? Ono asked. Yes, after the bombs explode. We have about 10,000 Marines and Talonot shock troops and they will only deploy to eliminate those not hit by the exploding tags. Ricky answered. After 5 days, Mila and Ricky again reviewed the preparations and they agreed to commence operations the next day. The number of their remaining taggers has gone down to 100,000 and the shock troops increased to 100,000 per Billy's instruction. The next day Billy beamed in with the gang. We will beam in Horan, Ripan and Chilla so you can meet them and so they can watch the operations. Mila said. Okay, let's do it. Billy said. Horan, Ripan and Chilla were beamed in. Ricky introduced the 3 to the group and they were surprised to see a Talonot, a Norset, a Romet, and a Mac among the group. We would like you to see our operation start off. Mila told Horan. We would like to start now. Mila? Billy asked. Rambo opened 3 dozen very large hologram screens around the group. They showed the Emperor and his council, ship commanders in their ships, scientists in the labs and in the DG rooms. The scene showed garrisons of slave Maqeebees and the scene at the mutant planet. Rambo, tell the others to commence. Mila said. The group saw the Emperor and the council members disappear and appear in front of them frozen in time boxes. Then several Mac mind readers approached the frozen Emperor and the council members. Their minds will be read for all their experiences from the time they were born to the present. It will take the Macs about an hour to do this. Billy said. The ship systems suddenly crashed. I see that their people are disappearing. Where are they going? Horan asked. That screen on the far left shows caves on a planet 50 MLY away from here. The next screen shows islands and some land areas. All of the enemy personnel, their commanders and crew will end up there. Beaming operations will finish in 6 hours. All ships will be empty within the hour. Ricky explained. That ship exploded at their engine areas. Chilla commented. Yes, after we beam the people out we explode the bombs earlier deployed near their engines and power generators. A virus was unleashed right after Mila gave the order and all the ships just stopped. All their TPs are now under our control and we use these TPs to beam the crew to the planet but they end up topside on the island. There are more than 23 million enemy personnel that were tagged. These include scientists and spies. The planet has drone probes and nothing gets in or out of the planet. Not even communication signals. Mila said. Those screens show the 4th colonies. Ripan said. Yes. Some of your ships have spies, so you will see your ships inoperable because the spies used the same communications channels the virus used. I think it would be best to tell your refugee ships to prepare. Mila said. So all the enemy will be confined to a planet in 6 hours. We need to move fast. Chilla said. Refugee work is critical. A mind reading of the enemy will show us a lot of spies. We would sift through all this mind reading information to look for the interdimension intruders. After the ships are bombed, we send our shock troops to kill all remaining crew. Tell all your ships to stand down while we do our work. Mila explained. We are now sending our troops to the DG operations rooms and they will kill anybody they see there. After they clean up the building, they will move outside into the grounds. Mila added and pointed to a screen which showed the shock troops killing those left in the DG operations center. We would put our people in to operate the DG and capture those returning from their sorties. Your troops are quick and they seem to know where to move. And your weapons are very strong like those of the Emperor's ships. Chilla said. They could see Maqeebees being blown up in 2 with 1 shot and some were getting shot from behind walls. After an hour of looking at the screens, Horan commanded, Ripan, Chilla, go and help with the operations. Gather your ships and tell them to stand down and do refugee work. Gather the other loyal council members and bring them here. We are in a cave 2 miles underneath the Emperor's city. We have several caves in several planets mainly to conduct beaming operations. By tomorrow, we would start removing our TPs and beaming them here, and from here we will move them back to our dimension. Ono said. How is it that the enemy cannot see us? Horan asked. That would be a very long story, but a certain species called Crimson help us become invisible to do our work. They enable us to exist in a dimension that cannot be scanned. Also we are bound not to kill the enemy but to just alter their personalities. Rabina answered. So the only ones killed are the stragglers. Horan commented. Yes, but in some cases we tag them and beam them with the others. But we cannot do this all the time and our troops are under time pressure to clean up the area. Billy said. We have millions of Maquis mind readers. Horan said. Yes, we can use them but maybe in 2 days. You see, our mind reading is not done by the Macs but by the Crinsons who go deep in their subconscious to see things the subject does not even see. The experiences are stored and we would transfer them to you in a format you can understand. You can do a mind reading of your own for your own purposes if you like, but after we are done with them. Billy explained. Part of the mind reading we do is to root out the spies and our people are immediately deployed to look and tag the spies and beam them to the holding planet. Ricky explained. After another hour Billy looked at Horan and said, the first colony is now free of the Emperor and his minions. Maybe it's time for your speech. I have it already. Where do I speak? Horan asked. Just there where you stand. We will broadcast your speech to all your people. Rabina answered. Tell me when you want to start. Rambo said. Horan thought for a while and made his speech. He could see hologram screens appear floating in some parts of cities and he could see himself talking. We have 4 interdimension intruders. The Macs are tagging them now. Rabina said. I want to go back to the council chambers and talk to my people. Horan said. Rambo beamed Horan back to the Grand Council chambers. The 4 Maqeebee interdimension intruders were beamed into time boxes. 3 Macs approached each of them and immediately conducted a mind reading. Another Mac beamed tissue samples out of each of the 4. They are not from this dimension. I have their home address, 711-1522. There are more than 30 of them. The Macs are getting all of them now. Nissel said. So the Emperor and his DG scientists are not the only ones doing the intrusions to kill Armada people. And these 4 are proof that somebody else is doing the same thing. Rabina, Nissel, Ono, Mila, let's all go back. Ricky, you're in charge here. I want to look at their dimension. I want to see where they got the plasma cannons. Billy commented. Back at Rabina's ship. I am opening a window to their home address, 711-1522. Beaming 30 drone probes at various distances. Locating a cave system. The Macs are beaming into the cave to set up the place. It will be ready in an hour. Redig and Sean are doing the same now at the 4th colony. Rabina said. Several hologram screens appeared. Wow, so that's why they have the plasma cannons. They got it from the Armada of the other side. Billy said. The group could see Armada ships battling it out with the Emperor's ships. The Emperor's ships are not winning and in the skirmish they were witnessing, the Armada simply flies at high speed and shoots at the Emperor's ships. The shield of the Emperor's ships give way after 2 shots and the ground plasma cannons shooting at the Armada ships are missing them. The Armada has more than 4,000 ships while the Emperor has more than 30,000. At the rate they are losing, all their ships will be destroyed in a month. Rabina commented. Their strategy seems to be that they lure the Armada ships to fly near the plasma cannon emplacements. Ono said. The Armada ships do not have Crinsins and Trunties with them. It would appear that they have not met the Crinsins and Trunties. Nissel said. We have to prevent the Emperor and his leaders from escaping. I am sure they already have a backdoor plan to leave the area once they lose more of their troops. Billy said. Redig has deployed the drone probes, opening the screens to the 4th colony. Rabina said. Let me see. I think they are doing a planet-by-planet cleanup. The enemy ships are bunched up near the border of the 4th colonies nearest to the 3rd colonies. The Armada ships have taken control of, maybe 70% of the 4th colony planets. Billy said. I think a little bit more, but yes, around that number. Rabina said. The best we can do is to make sure all their DGs are under our control so nobody can get out. Or we can bomb them, but this is not an assurance that there is no other DG operating somewhere. We can beam their people into the Armada brigs. Ono said. And put the Emperor and his leaders immediately in time boxes, read their minds and send them to the Armada brigs. Billy added. I will take care of securing all the DGs. Ono said. Let me get the Emperor and his minions. Mila said. Billy nodded and both disappeared. In less than 30 minutes, Akio and Mila returned. Beam the Emperor and his leaders at the cargo bay. Tell our mind readers to immediately work on them. Akio, set the bombs off now. Billy said. We can beam some of the scientists for mind reading so we can have an understanding of how they use their DGs. They have all been tagged. Akio suggested and Billy nodded. They all walked towards the cargo bay and once there they could see dozens of Macs on the Maqeebees. That's their Emperor. Nissel said. 3 Macs per Maqeebee were already reading their minds. They have sent 10 groups of 30 or so infiltrators to do what our intruders did. We have all their addresses. Nissel said. That's a lot. We may need the Armada in this dimension to do the work. Rabina, we need to end the war immediately. Tell the taggers and bombers to prepare. Tell the Macs to set up operations in several caves. Billy said. We need at least 2 weeks to prep. It could be tricky to tag people in the ships in the battlefield. Nissel said. Tag only those out of the battlefield or far from their enemies. Concentrate first on the 1st colony and then the ground operations in the 4th. Try to connect with the Mac collective so the Macs here can help out. We'll meet after 10 days. I want to go back to Horin and talk to him. Billy said. Billy went back to the previous dimension, 1415644491. Rambo, where's Ricky? Billy asked Rambo. He's with Ripan at the DG Center. I will beam you there now. Ricky saw Billy, boss, Ripan and his scientists are busy looking over the data on the data machine operations. It would seem that they have looked at thousands of dimensions and sent out teams only to those dimensions where there was no Armada. Based on the records we found, the missions of the teams were primarily to kill the Armada personalities and prevent it from forming. It's a good thing the Imperial forces attacking them do not have targeting TPs. I have not met the Armada yet, but it seems they are very slow in dealing with the enemy in that dimension. Billy said. Ripan was listening and, at least they will win in the end and put a stop to the Emperor in that dimension. Mila's task was to prevent the Emperor and the others from escaping to wherever. We have their Emperor and the top leadership already and we intend to end the war in less than 2 weeks. Billy said. We have opened 2 DGs for those operatives who are returning. And when they do, we freeze them and do a mind read. Chilla's people are doing a fine job securing the arriving spies. She also has her best mind readers read their minds while our people are doing it with the Crinson. I intend to send our spies back to these dimensions they came from looking like them with Crinson giving them the memories the enemy had in that dimension. This way they can move more freely because the Emperor and his men already are familiar with them. Ricky explained. Good, I like that. Billy said. The Macs love the job. Ricky added. Horin beams in with Chilla. Billy, good you're here. Billy shook his hand. Brawny and the Armada arrived a few hours ago near the edge of the 1st colony. They appeared before us when they saw that the enemy has been dealt with. Chilla said. They did not see any of your people since all your people have already left the caves. Brawny was really surprised and we decided not to tell them to see if they will ever find out. Horin said. They will never see us here because the whole facility is Crinson invisible. Anybody going in becomes Crinson invisible so it's like you disappeared in an empty space. Ripan explained. So our joke may not pan out and the Armada may not find out at all. Horin said. It would be best to let Ricky do his job unbothered just the same. Chilla said. I will follow your lead, Horin. I would like to meet the Armada and see how they are doing things though. Billy said, expecting some joking opportunities coming. This would be a surprise to them. Come on, I will introduce you to them. Just remember, we are not telling them. Horan said. Wait, Rambo, get Nissel, Sean, Rabina, Mila and Akio over here please. Ricky, come with us. I want my people to get a kick out of this also. Billy said. After a few minutes the team was complete. Rambo beamed translators and the guys put them on. The Armada leaders are in the mission room of the largest ship. Do you want to go beam there now? Rambo asked. As holograms first. But Horan, you can beam in as yourself if you like. No, let's all be holograms. Beam me in first, then I will call for you. It would be more dramatic that way. This is a result of his talking to Rambo and asking him about your group. He has been reading about you for the past 4 days. Now he wants drama in all his activities. Chilla whispered to Billy. Greetings, Commander Cromwell. Horan appeared before the Armada meeting at the mission room. Grand Council Master Horan. Good to see you again. How may we help you today? Wow, he's British and so James Bond handsome. I think I'm falling in love. Mila said. Ricky and Rabina laughed. Look at their uniforms. They're wearing designer clothes. Their uniforms look better than the Listons. Red top on blue pants with red stripes. And they have gold medals or something. Nissel said. They're not that good. I am not particularly fond of red. Their uniforms are mostly red. Akio said. Horan was laughing after hearing the exchange. Yes, can we do anything for you? Cromwell asked again. Horan was a bit phased and looked at Cromwell. Maybe we can send Cromwell to fight in the Marsons and Greenos. He told Horan telepathically. Yes, I want to know if you know about the Marsons and Greenos? Horan asked. A woman commander stood with a snap. We were just talking about them. This is Commander Lisa, she will discuss our plans again. Cromwell said. They watched Lisa move to the front of the room. She then started to discuss their plan to battle it out with the Marsons and Greenos. She's pretty and very sharp. There is something about the way she talks, persuasive with soft caring eyes. Her eyes reveal her deepest feelings and desire to help people ease their pain. Sean said. Are you falling in love too, Sean? Or are you in pain already? Rabina asked telepathically. Sean laughed. Ono was shaking his head. You did not include our ships fighting with your people. Horan said. Her plan is to fight toe-to-toe, with some ambush thrown in. I don't like it. They could get hurt. Mila said. They have Max with them but no other alien life form. Why is that? Nissel asked. Chilla appeared beside Horan. Cromwell acknowledged her and said, Lisa, can you tell Chilla here again about our plans? No need, Lisa, thank you. Cromwell, may I ask why you only have Max and humans in your Armada? I do not see Inkies or any other species. Max, you mean Maqeebees. And our species are not called humans, we call our species homos. We work in areas, by species. We are from the 10th Intergalactic Command and we are almost all homos and Maqeebees. Cromwell explained. I don't like the plans, you guys could get hurt. Is there any other way to win without hurting your enemies and yourselves? Horan asked. Cromwell was surprised and looked at Horan. We are open to suggestions. You know them more than we do, what would you suggest? I would like to bring in some consultants the Grand Council has employed recently. These are like yourselves but they call their species humans, not homos. Horan said. Billy and the group appeared. Horan started to introduce them one by one. When he introduced Mila to Cromwell, Mila went over to Cromwell and embraced him for a while until Cromwell noticed that she has been embracing him for more than 10 seconds already. Then it was Sean's turn to embrace Lisa when he was introduced. This time he was able to embrace her longer than 30 seconds, which was scandalous. Lisa just stood there without any reaction. Billy and Rabina looked at each other and smiled. Ricky and Ono were shaking their heads. Billy is their project leader and part owner of the company. You are all wearing sinister-looking black uniforms. Cromwell said. This is our company uniform for field operatives. Our body armor underneath these uniforms is colored much lighter than our uniforms. See? Billy showed them his neckline and wondered why they have an aversion to black. About the Marsons and Greenos, Billy, I think they need an alternative plan to deal with them. They intend to fight toe-to-toe with some ambush thrown in. The enemy Maqeebees could get hurt or killed. Or your people could get hurt. We are at war, this is a natural consequence of war. Cromwell said. No. You should always prevent killing even your enemy if you can avoid it. Ricky said. Lisa looked at Ricky questioning. Let me give you our take on the whole affair. The Marsons and Greenos have sent 10,000 ships each to fight for the Emperor. They have more than 50,000 ships, combined, left in their home galaxies. These 20,000 ships from the Martians and Greenos will arrive in 2 months. What we can do is to send a virus to the ships to disable their ships and disable their engines. Along the way we tag them and beam them onto a holding planet. Then we send our troops into the ships to remove the remaining enemy. After this we have to deal with their galaxies. We can substitute their emperors and leadership with our leaders first, then do the same thing to their ships to remove all their space travel capabilities. Billy explained. Cromwell faced Billy and, that is very nice. But impossible. Mila stood beside him and rubbed his back. Cromwell stared at her. Mila stared at his eyes and said, almost whispering, not really. Affectionately whispering like she would while running her hand at the back of a cat. What I have here is what we call a chameleon device. Rabina said and turned it on. She turned into a Martian, then she turned into a Grino, then she turned into Cromwell. This time Cromwell smiled. She turned it off. Commander Pierce, please take a look at this device. Pierce is our science officer. Cromwell said, and Rabina gave the device to Pierce. How do you operate this device, Ms. Rabina? Pierce asked her. Wow, he has a different accent, maybe Australian or European or something. There is something in his eyes that draws you. Rabina told Mila telepathically. Then she pretended to show Pierce by putting the device on his wrist and turning it on to the different images. Then she looked at Cromwell while holding Pierce by the hand. Will you stop holding his hand and arms already, Rabina? Billy told her telepathically. Ricky and the group laughed. Cromwell looked at them. Why are you laughing? One thing about our consultants is that they are part-time actors and entertainers. Horan explained. More laughs. You mentioned tagging the enemy and disabling the ship engines? Lisa asked as she looked at Billy. Billy told Rambo to send Crimson invisible taggers and tag everybody in the room. Billy looked at Sean. We usually recommend putting bombs in ship engines enough to disable but not destroy the ships. As for the tagging part, we can show you. Sean said. You will end up with a lot of disabled ships. Cromwell said. I estimate that between the Emperor, Martians and Greenos, they have more than 100,000 ships total. If you destroy these ships, can you imagine the cleanup job you need to do? Billy asked. I don't see why we would clean up the space. We could just avoid the debris. And what will you do with all those ships? Lisa asked. I like you, Lisa, you're inquisitive and you ask things in a very persuasive way. Imagine, if you will, the Maqeebee galaxies are maybe 18 BLY from your galaxies. If I put a single line of ships from here to your galaxies back home, I would need around 300 if I space them 60 MLY away from each other. Mr. Pierce, how far do your transporters go? Sean asked. I like you too, Sean, you're very persuasive. Ricky told Sean telepathically. Sean laughed. Pierce did not mind the laugh. Our long-range heavy-duty transporters are effective until 40 MLY, but it is usually safe to use them for 30 MLY distances. Sean added, that would mean I need 600 ships to cover the 18 BLY at 30 MLY between ships, right? He looked at Pierce. Yes, that is correct. Everybody is quiet now. Lisa faced Sean. Let me get your thinking, Mr. Sean. If we have ships at 30 MLY away from each other, I can beam myself to the next ship, then to the next, then to the next ship and travel that much distance. There were some talk and murmurings behind Cromwell. We can reach our home galaxies in 2 days. Pierce said. The mission room became quiet. If you assume a dual TP, one for beaming out and one for beaming in, is put in each ship, yes, you can be home in 2 days. By the way, how fast do your ships travel? Sean added. He looked at Lisa. 30 MLY per day at warp time. So you traveled for more than 600 days to reach our galaxies? Mila asked Cromwell. Yes, but along the way we had to replenish our supplies, so we had to stop by some planets. As an Armada, you help galaxies, right? What do you get out of these? And how do you get funding for your expeditions? Billy asked. The peace is our reward. If we are able to help, then our mission is accomplished. As for funding, we have our ships and provisions, and we must be able to live, survive, and accomplish our mission with what we left with. Cromwell answered. Billy told his team telepathically, I think we should reward these people. Horan nodded at Billy. I like you, Cromwell. Billy and his team here can make your lives easier. We can provide laughs and wild ideas. Sean said, and Lisa smiled at him. Going back to our serious mission. You intend to tag the enemy and transport them to a holding planet. There are millions of them and you would need thousands of transporters and transport technicians to do this. By the time you finish, they are beating a path to your door. Cromwell said. Rabina went nearer to Pierce and looked at his eyes. Do you have a ship AI? Rabina asked. No, do you? Pierce countered. Wouldn't it be nice to have an AI and tell it to do all the beaming for you? What if I can make your transporters automated? Better yet, wouldn't it be nice to have a fully automated ship? Let them do all the work by themselves. Rabina held his right arm as she talked. Do you have to hold his arm? Billy shouted telepathically at Rabina. He looked at Rabina, then at Mila. Then he noticed Sean was standing very close to Lisa. Please keep your distance, now, Billy commanded telepathically. Rabina, Mila and Sean moved 2 steps away. Horan and Chilla were smiling when the 3 moved. That would really be nice, but we have not been successful. How long will you take to do this? Pierce asked. About 4 days for the 400 ships that have relatively more advanced systems. Rabina said. Rambo advised her that there are 400 ships with more advanced data systems that they can adapt their data systems into. You will automate our ships? We have a dozen transporters in each of our 400 ships. So how many days would you need for these much ships? Cromwell asked. 4 days. I expect that you learn the technology and adapt it to your other ships. Besides, you only need 400 ships to do the mission our boss Billy described to you. Rabina said. Commander Cromwell is asking how long will automating all our 400 ships take you? Pierce asked. 4 days, but you have to leave all the work to us. Sean answered. He distinctly remembered Rabina saying this. He could not imagine that they did not hear her. How many people would be working on our ships? Lisa asked. None. Rambo, will you come over here please? Rabina said. Rambo appeared. You have a half-naked AI? And he looks so mean, dirty and unshaven. And he has a long machete hanging at his side. Lisa said. Horan and Chilla laughed. Rambo, get your usual whites please. Billy said. Rambo's clothes changed to a white overall with a big red number and his face appeared shaven and his hair is well combed. Rambo here will take care of your needs. Sean said. Who will operate the new systems? How many people would you need to operate them? Cromwell asked. Once you have your AI, just tell it what you want to do and the AI will do it for you. If you want it to teach your people, then tell it to do so. Sean explained. Can we choose his image? We obviously do not want a half-naked AI. Lisa said. You can choose whatever image you like. Sean said. What do you get out of this technology you are giving us? Cromwell asked. Nothing, you came to help us. We are grateful and we would like to make your jobs easier. Billy said. Grand Council Master, why don't we invite these people to a nice dinner? She asked Horan telepathically. Horan nodded. We would like to invite all of you here to our council hall. We can meet you personally there and we can discuss the details of the missions. Horan said. Rabina told Rambo to prepare the place and the food and beverages. Tell us the coordinates and we will beam our people to the place. Pierce said. Rabina produced a hologram of the first colony. Your ships are these small blinking lights. The council hall is this planet here. She enlarged the planet and a blinking light showed. The council hall is this building here. She moved 2 steps nearer. We have to move our ships nearer, that's about 70 mly away from here. Lisa said. Sean moved nearer to Lisa, or we can just beam you there. Cromwell, do you want to go now? Sean asked. Cromwell looked at his officers and nodded. His men stood up sharply. Welcome to our great hall, Commander Cromwell and party. We have prepared some refreshments for your party. Horan greeted them. He gestured to the long tables. Billy noticed Mila guiding Cromwell to sit on the main long table. Sean was holding Lisa's arm below the elbow, directing her also. I would suggest you all sit on one side and we all sit on the other side. Billy said. Mila stopped and made her way to one side of the table. So did Sean and Rabina. Horan and Chilla sat at both ends of the long table. Cromwell's people positioned themselves behind the chairs by arranging the other tables so they could sit behind Cromwell. Billy made sure Mila and Sean were seated beside him and Rabina was seated next to Mila. Billy started by opening a bottle of brandy and pouring a glass for Cromwell. Several Rambos appeared among all the tables and started pouring the brandy to all the glasses. As soon as Cromwell sat, all the officers sat down. Billy was visibly impressed. We tagged all of you and beamed you here. Robin explained. But we did not notice that you tagged us. And you did not even order your AI to beam us. Pierce said. The AIs are very smart, they know what to do even if you do not tell them. As for the tagging, we have invisible taggers. Rabina said. Billy stood. I would like to propose a toast to Cromwell and his people. May you have success in all your missions. May your Armada live long and continue to keep the peace in the galaxies. Billy took a sip and looked at Horan. Billy's group took a sip but Cromwell's group drank half of the glass. Horan stood. The universe is a bad and dangerous place. Cromwell came from 18 BLY to help our people. However, we have dealt with the Emperor by ourselves and I sense their disappointment after traveling that distance and finding the enemy gone. But they can still help us deal with the Marsons and Greenos. May your Armada live long and thrive. This time Cromwell's group emptied their glasses. Rambo and his doubles were quick to refill. May I say this brandy is so good? Cromwell said. Yes it is. Horan answered. Thank you Horan, Billy, we have yet to earn your gratitude. Our people have trained hard while on our way here and developed strategies to deal with the enemy. Fortunately or unfortunately, the enemy is gone. And we are going to fight an ally of the enemy. I hope our expedition here will help the Maqeebee galaxies prosper and thrive. Cromwell said. Plated steaks, salads, and beans appeared before each of the people in the hall. Please. Horan said and gestured for the homos to proceed. So you are also all actors? Pierce asked facing Robina. Yes. We have a long-running science fiction series about the activities of a pretend armada saving the galaxies from evil oppressors. Just like what you are doing. Cromwell, how long would you be staying with us? Horan asked. Our mission is to help. If we need to stay longer, we would. Rambo told Robina that they do not have the Fire Dawn generators and based on the ship logs, Cromwell's Armada is the newest of the galaxy groups, that is why their leaders sent him on a mission everybody else avoided. They also have the oldest and smaller ships in the fleet. Except for the 400 ships, all the other ships are very much less advanced than their average ships. Robina looked at Pierce and, Pierce, we would like to give you a generator that we call a Fire Dawn generator good enough to power your whole ship, and we would give you all the technology and know how to build these. We will also give you the planet locations where you can mine the Fire Dawn. The data system we will give you will help you in all your missions. Ask the AIs all the time and they will give you a wealth of information. This meat is soft and tasty. Like what we have at home. Cromwell said. Sean asked Billy if he would approve to give away the formulator technology. Billy nodded. Sean looked at Lisa. Lisa, there is one technology that will surely make your lives easier. We have what we call formulators and they came from a species we call Norsets about 3.5 BLY from your planet. This plated meat and vegetables came from our formulators. These formulators are handy especially if you need specific things or just anything. Robina added. Pierce looked at her. It can create matter from whatever matter you have. It can create whole machines or parts for you. Like this gun. She pulled out a plasma pistol. Rambo told her the homos do not have the plasma technology and they still use carbon-based weapons. Just ask your ship AI to create these for you and maybe on ship plasma cannons. Our weapons are good enough for us. Cromwell said. Billy stood up and pulled his weapon. Hey Cromwell, try hitting that cement column over there. Cromwell looked at Lisa. Lisa stood and got the weapon. Be careful. Billy told her. She moved further from the table and assumed a formal firing stance. Then she squeezed. The first round destroyed the middle of the column, the succeeding shots went through the wall and created a hole, then the shots went through another wall then another. Lisa did not feel any recoil but was shocked. Her jaw dropped then she looked at Billy. The plasma cannons will tear a ship with one shot. The shot will go through its shield, through its hull, through some more walls and explode inside the ship. You can ask your AI to build these using your formulators. Billy said. Why are you giving these to us? Lisa asked Billy. As Horan said, to make your lives easier. We cannot pay you, we cannot promote you. This is the Maqeebees' way of saying thank you. Protect these technologies but share them with the rest of the Armada. Chilla added, our people would like to invite all of your commanders, crew and troops to a welcome banquet in a few hours. Some of the council members would like to tour your group around our planets. We would be honored. Cromwell said. The festivities would take a few days. I am sure your Max can handle the parties. Anyway, Rambo would be working on your ships during this time. Horan said. After eating, the homos were tipsy and some were falling drunk. Several Rambos held them up and quickly beamed with them to their quarters. Lisa was tipsy too. Rambo is really useful. Is he bringing the men to their quarters? Sean looked at her eyes. Yes, he is. We will also give you the technology to create your physical AI bodies so your AI can physically carry you to bed. Lisa smiled. After this, may we invite you to a tour of our ships? Cromwell said. We would be honored. Horan said and Billy nodded. Lisa is married to a woman named Eve, while Pierce has a husband named Jones. Cromwell has been married thrice to different women. This time he is married to a man. Rambo told the team telepathically. Robina quickly said, why don't you go ahead Horan, boss, I have to work on the technology transfer. I need to help Robina. Sean added. I think I need to go to the other dimension to look at the progress of our tagging operations. Mila said. No, I think we should all honor our guests. We would all go. Billy has a smile on his face. Ricky pretended to vomit. Ono laughed out loud and was not ashamed to show it. Billy realized his people were behaving like they were acting some script to make their jobs more exciting, funny and maybe dramatic. Another one for the comedy movies. Cromwell thought, this group is really strange. So abnormal. After 10 days,